But let's talk about it, Trendsetter. The match is 7 matches for night 1. It's a loaded card. Now, we'll probably ask you this, after we review the whole card here, but a lot of people are tending to see that the first day it looks to be stacked. A lot of people are already making comparisons, which day is better. If you're only going to one show and you got to decide, do I go Saturday and see The Rock, or do I see Roman and Cody night 2? So you got some choices to make, but we'll be there on both nights, and we will start with WrestleMania night 1. Trendsetter, let's talk about a matchup that at first we were like, I don't know if Sami Zayn could be the guy. I don't think there's any chance that he is going to win. But the last few weeks have kind of left the door open, and I think in a good way, to think that, hey, Sami Zayn might pull off the impossible. I've been surprised that WWE and Triple H have been invested in Sami the way they have, because I thought he was going to be forgotten after the whole run he had with the Bloodline and then losing the tag team titles. He had that run with Kevin Owens. But then after that, he's kind of took some time off. There was a little bit of a slump, kind of doubted himself again. Maybe it was a fluke last year what happened with his main event push. Maybe it was just more Bloodline associated, but he was on a roll last year. He kind of took it by storm, the whole 2023. And this year, it was kind of a bit of a lull period. And then when you have Gunther, who's 600-plus days champion, who's just a strong guy that just looks like out of central casting of this villain, right? Of this big, this huge, larger-than-life character, you don't really think that Sami's a chance. And we were all pulling for Chad Gable because he had the underdog story. It was in Philadelphia, so he was the ultimate underdog. But somehow they managed to pull this off with having Gable align with Sami Zayn. And now there is actually that slim chance, that door open, that Sami Zayn could walk away and pull the upset and beat Gunther. Now, is it still where I would bet against Gunther? No. But the door is slightly open that I might make a shocking pick here and go with Sami Zayn. But before we do that, how about this build the last few weeks for Sami Zayn and Gunther? Because I think it's been outstanding.
Listen, there's no doubt that I feel a lot of people were behind Chad Gable. They wanted him to get that opportunity. I think there was some, not a lot, but some resentment a little bit because they wanted Chad to have that spot rather than Sami. But again, you could see both sides of the stories they were building towards this. Both wanting to have, as they say now, quote unquote, their WrestleMania moment, right? So in this scenario, Chad's still involved. I don't know, in terms of, it kind of feels fishy to me that despite the fact that Chad is trying to help assist Sami and have him, like you said, regain his confidence back, because he is riding the tidal wave momentum going into WrestleMania. Before, when you first saw this match set up, you're like, okay, the Chad Gable Gunther made more sense to me in terms of it was a lot more personal. Now with Sami involved, like, how are you going to do this where it feels like, okay, well, this is going to be an easy one for Gunther. Right now, you're developing the layers there for Sami to possibly win. That's what you want, really, basically, when you set up a match like this, especially with a dominant champion like Gunther. You want the possibility that it might happen. Will it? We'll talk about that in a second, right? But I have this tendency to think that this whole thing with Chad Gable and Sami kind of working together and Chad being kind of a mentor or kind of a guidance or a life coach or just a coach in general, I feel like there's a betrayal about to happen there in some way. And I don't want that to happen. You know why? Because I feel like Chad has done so much to get to this point that I want him to still be on that side where people are rooting for him, not instead of rooting against him. Like he's a bitter guy that his opportunity was squandered and taken away from him and he has nobody to blame but Sami. For Sami's perspective, though, you're right. He had so much momentum last year, betraying the bloodline, having that amazing match with Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber, and now, winning the tag team titles with his good friend Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 39. And then from there, kind of the wheels fell off to a certain extent, right? Now, seems like he's getting his confidence back. So as a fan, I'm invested because I like Sami. And Gunther, a dominant champion. I just think the wrong guy's in there, in my personal opinion. But again, it's still going to be intriguing. You know why? Because Sami has been running a hot streak right now. He's had amazing matches, so I wouldn't expect anything less at WrestleMania with the guy that does amazing things, and to me hasn't even reached his prime yet in Gunther. So I'm looking forward to this match a lot. I'm still invested in it, but I would have preferred Chad Gable in this spot.
You got to think that they're going to push Gunther into that main event level pretty soon. I don't know how far it accelerates after Mania or whether they are seeing him on that level in the very near future. But if they were going to pull the trigger here, they've actually opened up the seat of not doubt on Gunther because he's still so strong and he came off strong last Monday night. But still, though, there is that frustration level that Gunther's frustrated that Chad Gable's helping him out, that he thinks that these two guys, they don't stand a chance. And when you do that, what happens? You become susceptible to taking your opponent lightly. So if there's going to be an upset, and it's Philly town, and we're talking about the upsets and how maybe you say that Philly's not an underdog city anymore. Well,
not anymore. No.
they still have that rep, and they're still going to go with it. And I think that I might pay for this, but I got to go against the grain. I'm going to say Sami Zayn walks away as a new Intercontinental Champion. Just that one seedling that we saw this past Monday, and that great montage there, kind of Rocky-esque montage there, where Sammy's a little bit afraid of letting his family down, and I don't think he's going to let his family down. Now, maybe Gable turns on him down the road. I wouldn't want to see Gable as a heel, though. He's done such a tremendous job to get that following as well. So maybe a face Sammy and a face Gable me down the road. But I think that if that does happen, watch Gunther move back to that, not back, but forward to that main event level.
Listen, I've said this before to you, and maybe a lot of people didn't catch it when I said it, though. But I think Gunther will be champion all the way to SummerSlam. I knew his vision. He envisioned himself to main event WrestleMania 40. Obviously, that's not happening because he's still the Intercontinental Champion. He hasn't moved himself up to the main event position because he'll have to let the title go until he can get to that spot, right? But I see Gunther still being champion around SummerSlam, and SummerSlam being such a prestigious event as well in terms of the last event of the summer and how they want to make that a huge thing. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't agree with you here, Jeff. I can see your point. I can see where a lot of fans would be rooting for Sami, and definitely he's going to have the crowd behind him because it does have that feeling of Rocky wanting to go the distance. Does it end like Rocky 2 or does it end like Rocky 1, right? I think it's going to end like Rocky 1. He goes the distance, but just it's not going to be enough with Gunther. He's just too dominant right now. If it was going to go to anybody, and again, this is the sentimental side of me, right? The one that loves the story, the artsy-fartsy, as Shawn Michaels would say, right? In terms of the Chad Gable story. With Sami, it's still a really good story. I just think Gunther right now will continue his dominance. He will retain and still be Intercontinental Champion after WrestleMania 40 concludes. So I'm going with Gunther on this one.
And if you're going to make a play for Sami, if you're a betting guy, just remember this, though. It's not been Triple H's MO to just pull off an upset like this. They do love the long tenured champions. So that would be a reason why I would not make the play for Sami. But if you're feeling lucky and you got a few shekels to put out on this and you're going to bet, hey, you want to go with Sami? Just don't go by me. I'm just going off a feeling because I think that
That's why I don't gamble, Jeff.
There you go. Especially you don't want to trust me, but I got Sami, and the Trendsetter is going to go with Gunther. All right, Trendsetter, we got the ladder match where I'm telling you right now, you're starting to see little cracks in the armor here with Judgment Day because they just can't seem to get along right now. They've got intrusion within their, in their lair, so to speak, in the locker room where you have other factions being invited by Dom Mysterio, and you can see that maybe Dom wants to step out a little bit, not feeling that respect, possibly maybe aligning with Santos and maybe Andrade down the road. Damian trying to get everyone together. Mommy not being on the same page with Dom, and JD McDonough just losing all the time. And then Finn is just kind of there too, just kind of like being quiet, maybe a little bit of a stir himself of what's going on here. But you got a lot of talented tag teams. You got DIY in here. You've got Miz and R-Truth. And those are two teams right there that, hey, they have a viable chance. DIY could steal the show with some of their moves, but let's talk about Miz and R-Truth for a little bit here. These are the sentimental favorites. And then I also want to get to you on a stipulation that Michael Cole keeps saying that they have to, the teams have to capture both titles. Could there be a chance that we see the split of the unified champions and we get two winners, which will cause some controversy and maybe a decision down the road that maybe they just keep each champion on each brand? But I know that's a loaded question, Trendsetter. But first and foremost, Miz and R-Truth kind of right now seem to be that sentimental underdog story that a lot of people are pulling for.
Well, that's the theme of WrestleMania right now, the underdog story, right? In terms of whatever you want to do, whatever story or match is going on right now, you're rooting for the underdog. Is it going to happen in this world? I'm sorry, folks. It's not a storybook any all the time. But I understand the sentimentality there with Miz and R-Truth. R-Truth being such a long-stay veteran of WWE. Literally anything he does right now is just comedic gold, and not just because he's good at humor. It's just everything he does right now, he fully commits to it. So regardless of how silly or funny it is, you just appreciate R-Truth in terms of what he offers WWE in terms of entertainment and also in the ring. He has chemistry with Miz. I think Miz has kind of evolved himself to that point where, yeah, he could be the Miz. He's awesome. We can boo him all. But I think he's reached a certain stage in his career, at least from my perspective, that he's just garnered a lot of respect. And there've been a lot of, you catch the A&E biographies and catch A&E rivals, and him and Bryan Danielson, the biggest hypocrite in professional wrestling. And it's the scenario where he's earned my respect in terms of whether you like him or not, and how he got into the business, where they paid his dues. He has paid his dues. He has literally gone out there and been a spokesman for WWE, spokesman for everything the company could want. So for the semi favorites, I get it. And you want them to have success because for the most part, R-Truth and Miz really haven't had too many moments, especially when it comes to one of the biggest shows of all time, WrestleMania. So that would be a great hurrah. It'd be a great cheer for the crowd. They would love to see that happen. As opposed to what's going on with the Judgment Day right now, you're seeing chinks in the armor here right now. I don't know if it's going to fully happen. We talked about this before during the Royal Rumble, like what's going to happen. I think that they're leading you to it. I don't think it's initially going to happen there. I'll give you my prediction in a second, but in terms of that, you're seeing now Rhea Ripley, and we'll talk about her match with Becky Lynch. Dominic kind of wanting to be his own man right now, and Damian Priest focusing on Senior Money, Mr. Money in the Bank, and Finn being kind of the odd man out with his boy JT like behind him. It just really feels right now like it's starting to implode a little bit now. We're not going to necessarily, I feel, see it at WrestleMania, but that's the case. But you look at all these teams: DIY, the New Day, the new team, the new Catch Republic with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, A-Town, Downtown, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller. Just this has the ability, and you know how much I love tag team wrestling, right? It could steal the show, especially a ladder match. Now, with those winning conditions in Philly, might be a big deal. But to answer your question real quick about the titles being separate, I don't personally like that. I would have preferred it to, but then this unification and the mere fact that they're carrying a red and blue, and I think right now when you've seen the change in terms of how they've distinguished the U.S. the Intercontinental title on different brands, but then you have the world title and now the WWE Championship or the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship, whatever you want to call it. I think they're really set on keeping them separate, but around this time right now, I don't know if that's something that's eventually going to happen immediately down the road. They have to capture both titles. I get it, but at this point right now, that division, in my opinion, is so depleted in terms of quality tag teams. Now, they're good tag teams, but I don't think the depth is there. That I would probably want to see the champions, whoever they are, after the end of this, and I'll ask your opinion who's going to win. I want them to be on all shows because that just promotes more tag team. Until you have a more in-depth roster of teams that are established, that's where I'd want to separate them from a Raw, a SmackDown, or an NXT. So that's the route I would go.
So you say they're going to steal the show, but then you say that the tag team division is depleted. You're just talking about just depleted in general.
The match itself is going to steal the show, Jeff. The roster for tag team wrestling is kind of depleted right now. Where we're seeing these teams I just mentioned before, but we haven't seen them enough. We've only seen DIY literally establish themselves in NXT. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, they're kind of new to the scene in terms of they're developing their tag team in terms of the momentum they're going to carry. A-Town Down Under, it's still fairly new, so it's not a strong roster, but it's going to steal the show because all these guys are athletic, and the New Day have been around forever.
So yeah, New Day are the veterans, which I was going to get it to that. Hey, they're the vets here, so they've been there before, and then obviously the other two, as far as Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, and then Theory and Waller, again, they probably have the least opportunity here, the least chance to pull off an upset. So I would think that it would be Miz and R-Truth. And because they've tag team before, and then obviously you have an established tag team in the New Day, who this is like nothing for them. This is just another opportunity here to regain the title. So they've been there, they've done that. So again, they also they should not be counted out. But at the end of the day, though, that stipulation, I just hear Michael Cole saying that a lot, and I hear it pointed out by a lot of people that are like really obviously they're listening and they're looking at everything written down, trying to find any hidden clues or anything like that. But if they're going to split it up, there could be two winners here. So mine is that, though. If there was going to be someone that just takes it all, right, it's not going to be the Judgment Day. I think we're going to get new tag team champions. I think that right now, I'm going to say Miz and R-Truth. I'm going to say Miz and R-Truth pull this off. Now, R-Truth could pull off something crazy and something dumb and just, spoil it all for the Miz, but I think he's I think he's going to get his act together, and I think we're going to get new tag team champions. I can tell you this, though. If it's separate, maybe The Miz and R-Truth, and maybe you get a team like DIY because Triple H loves them. He loves them for as much as a lot of people don't think they're getting over. Triple H has a lot of confidence in them, so maybe you get split champions there. But I can tell you right now, though, I don't think Judgment Day is walking out.
Yeah, that's again, and I love it that I disagree with you here because we never, I hate when we agree on everything. I think Judgment Day retains. I really do. But for what I talked about before, I think they're showing chinks in the armor. But as this new regime in WWE is in terms of long term storytelling, you're seeing signs of it. We saw signs in the beginning too when it came to the bloodline of it breaking out. And so many times Sammy could turn, or they could have turned on Sammy. We kept waiting when it was going to happen. And although the likelihood it could be that it could happen at WrestleMania, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think they'll survive by the skin of their teeth. They'll retain the titles. They'll be the unified champion still. But again, this is just another opportunity to help establish those other teams that aren't that well known that we just mentioned before, to create more depth, more consistency in this tag team division, in my opinion, because that's what's lacking right now. And it's always cool to have the chasers chase the Judgment Day until that's finally set in terms of this is the team we want to go with. This is the team you want to be your new champions. Could it be R-Truth and Miz? Possibility, high possibility in terms of the fan favorites right now. I just don't see that happening in WrestleMania. I see Judgment Day retaining.
A very interesting star-studded 6-woman tag team match here between Jade Cargill and Naomi and Bianca Belair against Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. This is, to me, a very, very entertaining match, and a match that obviously kind of is done in a way to protect Jade a little bit, because obviously she made a great impression at the Rumble, and then she added it for another successful debut on SmackDown. And then she got involved, and they kept it simple. And obviously, this is a big step. They're taking every precaution whatsoever to protect their investment. But now you're going to get an amazing entrance. You're going to get, obviously she looks the part, acts the part, but now she's got to do it in the ring. And they're going to remember this one. This is going to be a key one for her because it is WrestleMania. And at the end of the day, I just don't see that team of Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill losing whatsoever. So if you're going to ask me here on this matchup, as much as I love Damage Control here, I just don't see them winning against that powerhouse team on that other side of the ring.
If I take the third match first, to agree, right? I don't see that happening either. They had some great ways of trying to change her mind on SmackDown, having them be dominant in 3 women tag team matches. It's not going to happen here. And really, it's going to be more of a showcase of skill. I'm not saying that Damage Control is going to be destroyed. It's going to be like a 7-minute match or a 6-minute match or anything like that. I think they're going to have their time there to be able to work. But yeah, the way this is set up right now, I mean, you're great to see Bianca, great to see Naomi involved in WrestleMania, and then not being oversighted for the fact that she came back and now was going to be on the card. But a lot of people are looking at this and focusing on Jade. It really is. I mean, taking nothing away from Damage Control, taking nothing away from Bianca Belair. She's already shown what she can do. She's already shown she's a star. Naomi as well, in terms of her veteran leadership, in terms of how long she's been with the company, right, and what she can do in the ring, the success she's had as a champion. So this is more of showcasing Jade, I feel. It's going to highlight her, similar to what happened in the Rumble. Protecting, yeah, that's one way of saying it too. I just think more of it's like it's easier to highlight Jade in this type of scenario until time comes for her to kind of go on her own and do more singles matches. And hopefully at that time when it does happen, not if, but when it does happen for her, it's going to be more of that she's going to be in there and can hold her own. I mean, this woman has that it factor that you and I have been talking about. She looks like a star. She acts like a star. She has that quality that draws people to you, similar to, to Bianca, I feel too, because Bianca, from what she did in NXT, is skyrocketed so much in terms of her ability to talk. Jade can talk, and her ability to showcase her athleticism, which Jade definitely has, and so does Naomi. So this is a great combination. I think it's gonna be a great match. I think it's gonna be fun to watch. But Damage Control right now, I don't think stands a chance in this one. So I got Bianca, Naomi, and Jade winning this one.
And another match that we talked about this too the last few weeks is there's gonna be some matches here that you wish, the build-up could have been a little bit better. But you know what? It is what it is now because there's no turning back because this is the match. And again, this is, I believe, something where everyone's going to get involved anyways. You got Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio teaming up against Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. So, I'm a huge fan of Dragon Lee and not really a huge fan of. See, here's the thing: I love what Triple H has done, and nothing's going to be perfect. And people are going to lose, and there's always going to be something. I thought that the Dragon Lee presentation was good in the beginning. I think they really felt like they were invested in him, but obviously the losses have piled up, and the presentation has also been a little bit dumbed down. Maybe because they're in WrestleMania season, they're trying to showcase the main event, so we haven't really focused a lot on Dragon Lee. But to have him come out and be Ray's partner, obviously he's done the same thing to Santos when Carlito was coming in there, and now Dragon Lee is getting the become a new member of LWO, and Carlito, who's been loyal to Ray, now is taking the back seat. Now, obviously here, Dom obviously is trying to avenge that loss from last year in one of the most entertaining matches of the whole Mania card from last year. And again, this to me would be so much better if I had a few more weeks to build up. And it just seems like this whole LWO thing, it just seems LWO can't win constantly. And same thing with Garza and Humberto. They just can't just can't have constant wins. So it's like a, I don't know, it just, LWO feels a little bit incomplete as strong as they are now that Ray's back. But I mean, again, I wish they had a proper build. I wish it wasn't just a few weeks in. And I know Dom is going to do his job. I think he's going to be entertaining. And like I said, we're getting to schmaz anyways because everyone's going to get involved. So I'm going to say that, let me just say here, Santos and Dom are going to get the win here. I think Dom gets his win back, and I guess they're going to continue some sort of storyline there because it's going to intertwine. Where does Andrade fit? Where does Dominic fit now if he aligns with Santos? So you have a lot of great stuff after WrestleMania, but I just think that this matchup, I think, man, the build got hurt, that they didn't hype it up much longer, maybe because Ray was hurt too. But this is a match where I'm just going to say Santos and Dom get the victory.
Like I use the word schmaz, a lot of wrestling terminology there.
Hart schmaz. And dude, kudos. Did you know that Bret Hart, Bleacher Report did a top 50 wrestlers, and Bret Hart got number 1?
Doesn't surprise me. There's a reason why they call me excellent execution. There's a reason why a lot of people nowadays, as your boy CM Punk is, love Bret Hart. They just have so much respect and admiration for the excellence of execution. So it doesn't surprise me there in terms of one of the greatest. I want to say he's one of the greatest performers.
So it's the Bleacher Report, the top 50 greatest WWE superstars of all time.
Yeah,
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart, man, one of the greatest storytellers. You want to talk about performer all around in general? It's up for debate, but to me, he's one of the best storytellers in the ring. The best ring psychology I've ever seen, if that's such a thing, or people who believe in ring psychology, goes to Bret Hart. To this match, though, what you were talking about before, I'll just give my pick right now. I tend to agree. I think it's going to be Dominic and Santos becoming victorious in this. There's only so many hours in the day, right, Jeff, where you can kind of promote this. Main focus has been on the main card, the Cody, Roman Reigns, Rock, Seth Rollins, as it should, right? Because that's the moneymaker. That's what you're building your card on. The undercard sometimes doesn't have the ability there. But for what they have been able to use in terms of TV time, they've done their best. I would have preferred a Rey Mysterio Dom 2, singles, one-on-one. I would have preferred that. Dominic get his win there, and then the rubber match at another WrestleMania or SummerSlam or whatever to end it there in terms of these two and that rivalry, because it's still going on. It's not over anytime soon. So by winning this, I don't think Dom necessarily gets his victory back, but we start getting the ability, the fact that this is still unfinished business between Ray and Dom. As for Dragon Lee, excited to see him there too, but you see Carlito, the odd man out. So at what point is Carlito going to turn his back on the NWO because he feels unappreciated? And I think he's been unappreciated since he came back to the main roster and came back to the WWE. They haven't really been using him. It's kind of been more of a side piece for the LWO. It really has been used on TV or storylines in general. So in terms of this, you said a beautiful thing in terms of consistency. This whole thing with the LWO and then Santos and his group, they have been consistently inconsistent, and hopefully that changes after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I would say so too. So again, hopefully, there's story there. But obviously now that WrestleMania season is gonna take a back. Well, it's over, so maybe we'll get more storylines involved with these guys now after WrestleMania. All right, trendsetter. So let's go. The man versus mommy for the WWE World Championship, Women's World Championship. Obviously, they are. It's been a great build. It's been a very good build. Becky Lynch is coming off as that kind of, I guess, that cranky old timer that's not liking the way the new things are going because she's paved the way a certain way that she wants it to be, and Mommy's just changed it a little bit. And Mommy's the new girl in town, obviously the dominant new girl in town that's looking to put another notch on her win belt and beat a legend like Becky Lynch. I like the way it's been done. Obviously, Becky has been in the same boat that Rhea's been. Right, she was changing the game, and now she's got a daughter. She's a mom, and so now she's on the other side of making sure that the future's bright for the rest of the females, building that division up.
Also, don't forget future best-selling author too.
Yes, congratulations on the book too as well. So, in general, I love the build to this. I think it's been great. I think that I actually want to see this one. Becky Lynch, you know what she can do. And of course, Rhea's got that match with Charlotte Flair that's in the back of our minds. It's still, it should have been like one of the, should have maybe probably main evented one of the WrestleManias last year. And you remember it so well, it's still stuck in your mind that, now with Becky Lynch, they're going to put another banger. So I'm going to say that Mommy is going to retain the championship here. As much as Becky Lynch, I think Becky Lynch will take some time off, and then we got that little clout there with the 2 months left on her contract. Does she take some time off? Does she come back re-energized? We don't know about that. So I'm going to go with Mommy. I'm going to go Mommy becomes she retains the championship.
Yeah, and this one I agree. Unfortunately, I agree with you because listen, as much as I like the build up to it, and they've been building this up for the longest time in terms of always having Rhea and Becky interact with each other and thinking, oh, this is a potential WrestleMania matchup right here, and throwing the Easter eggs there that could possibly happen sooner or later, and then we knew where it was leading up to in terms of that. I don't know if I particularly like the build up in terms of the fact that Becky says she necessarily needs this to see if she still has it, whatever it is, or she still can be that top performer. I mean, this is the first time, I guess, and this is what I guess makes it compelling. The first time you see Becky somewhat doubting herself, because when she was the man, she was 100% confident. When she got punched in the face by Nia Jax, had all the confidence in the world, no matter who the opponent was or whatever the obstacle was. She knew she was going to come out on top. She was going, like Mommy, right? Come out on top and surpass whatever obstacle she had to deal with. This scenario too just feels a little bit different, and also you see more of an emotional side of her. I don't know, it's because of more, it's getting personal. Rhea did speak about Becky's daughter, and did speak about her father, who's it's an emotional topic for Becky. So I do see Becky taking some time off of this, whether it has to do with the contract, the extension, whatever the case might be. I think it's more of a notch in Rhea Ripley's belt right now. I mean, she had the amazing rivalry with Charlotte Flair, which I think it's not over yet between the two of those. When Charlotte is 100% comes back, but it's just, again, back to the storytelling we were talking about before in terms of when you spoke about Gunther and what we will talk about eventually with Roman Reigns. It's just like showing this dominant side, this long-term storytelling that they're getting to the point where they're able to do it. They're able to, and it's working right now in terms of showing the fact that Rhea Ripley is this new version of something that we haven't seen in a long time. There's nobody like her. I would even compare it so much as to when we first met China, right? There's nobody like China, and she was just uniquely different. And that's what Rhea is right now. She's not even reached her prime, I feel, but she's the most comfortable and the most believable character. As much as they're cheering her, she's trying to be a heel or a bad guy. She's just so, and I know people hate to use the term like this, over, but I think she's just so over with the crowd in terms of they love her. Anything she does is exciting. And I see her coming out victorious. And I wouldn't say it's a dominant fight. Here's the thing. I've never been a fan of Becky Lynch's work per se in the ring.
Back and forth like Charlotte and Rhea was last year.
Yeah, but it's going to be more of a fight. It's not going to be a wrestling match. It's going to be a fight between the two of these. And Mommy, as always, comes out on top.
And again, too, like you're talking about, what does Becky Lynch have to lose here? Again, she's got a lot to lose. Her legacy, and obviously now she's got a family to think about too. So that way, it turns when you get a little bit older and you have more responsibilities, right, and more priorities. You don't become that Rhea Ripley who has nothing to lose because you're on top of the world. You got nothing to lose. You got your title. You're young and everything. So I think,
doesn't Becky seem more vulnerable now because she's so emotional about things? We've never seen this from her before.
It's her legacy. It's her legacy. She has more to lose, obviously, because she's a mother now. She's got more responsibilities too, more to lose for Becky. So I think it's really well done. All right, Trendsetter, to yeet or not to yeet, that is the question. Again, this is one that I think needed more time, more in the ring besides just run-ins and stuff. And by having Jimmy just cost Jey Uso various championships at some point in the last few months. A lot of people say this match should have happened sooner, but they kept it for WrestleMania because they wanted it on that grand stage. Obviously, I kind of agreed to that point. It should have been done earlier, maybe, maybe before that. But we get it here. I understand why. And the anticipation, I'm going to love it because, again, it is brother versus brother. We've only had 3 of these. And talk about, how about this fact, this little tidbit? We had only 2 other times where brothers fought each other. WrestleMania 10, Owen Hart and Brett, 10. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, 25. Each 15 years apart. 15 years, WrestleMania 40.
I don't count the Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy one. That was not a good match.
Well, it's
still count that one at all.
And legit brothers, not Kane and Undertaker. So obviously, don't want to ruin it for you guys. But they're
Edge and Christian, yeah, which they never faced at WrestleMania, but they're not really brothers. I get it.
So yeah. So again, I'm still gonna look forward to this. I think Jey Uso is going to come out a winner here. Now, is there outside interference? There could be. Solo could outside interfere here, and we could get a prolonged one here. But Jay's got to win this one, man. Jay in Philly, we got to get that. We got to get that excitement from the crowd. So we got to get Jey Uso with the victory here. I'm going to go Jay.
I'm going with Jay too. This goes back to what you said before. This is one that definitely could use a lot more time. It felt like it was done last minute. Just the card in itself in terms of Jay and Jimmy, there's so much more story there that could be told that they could have gone into, which they didn't. They're just hoping that people who followed along with the whole bloodline story that went into the fact of the breakup and Jay leaving the bloodline, that's going to be substantial enough for you to feel emotionally invested in this, which we are. So, yeah, I see Jay winning this one. But, man, this one could have been built up really well, really good as well. I mean, like I said, very rare occasion to see 2 actual brothers facing each other off in WrestleMania. It is a rare occasion. This one could have had a lot more to it, but regardless, it's going to be a good match. It's not going to be a one and done, obviously. So I guess they're pitting on that to be this factor that this isn't going to be over after WrestleMania, which I don't expect it to be. And so Jay's coming out victorious on this one to give the crowd something to cheer for, something to be happy about. It'll be Jey Uso coming on top,
and of course, you get the big one. The big tag team match, maybe perhaps they're building as the greatest tag team match ever in WrestleMania history, perhaps maybe in the history of professional wrestling. The Rock and Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, and Seth freaking Rollins. Listen, man, you could say that now that Cody's bought him a watch, he's going to turn on his ass. But you don't know. That's the greatest thing. This is the funny thing about this. We can tell you about the matches and stuff like that and tell you who you think is going to win. But we do not know whatsoever what's going to happen in the night 2. This is so unpredictable. We could just be totally wrong here, and maybe The Rock turns on. See, we're trying to predict the match, but we don't know what's going to happen whatsoever. So if you're going on this, they're trying to make the road really hard for Cody. What will be much harder is that we get Bloodline Rules on Sunday. So I'm going to say that we're going to get The Rock and Roman Reigns to defeating Seth freaking Rollins and Cody in Seth Rollins' first WrestleMania main event. Hence why Cody gave him the watch. They seem to be on a friendly kind of in a friendly kind of way, kind of synced. But you can't trust Seth freaking Rollins, man. You can't trust Seth freaking Rollins. So if you do, and it comes out where everything's clean, I still say that the Rock and Roman Reigns are going to find a way to win. And is he going to give Mama Rhodes that blood-soaked belt? Is he going to draw blood that first time? There is so much that we cannot predict here. And even the match, we don't know what's going to happen. The outside interference, it's going to happen, but it's going to be crazy. It's going to be amazing. But on match itself, gotta go Rock and Roman.
You just hope they don't run out of steam after night 1. The anticipation, the build-up, the fact that so much is riding on night 2 from the outcome of night 1. And like you said, too, like you can't trust Seth freaking Rollins, right? I agree with that statement 100%. I wouldn't trust him at all in terms of Seth, because he's proven time and time again that he can turn on you in a dime as long as it's for his best interest, right? But in this scenario, I can see it happening in terms of the logic behind it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And the reason why is I just feel right now Seth is doing such a great job as a face right now that the WWE wants to keep that going. I think he'll cost Cody unintentionally. He'll be the weak link in the group. He'll be the one that probably gets the pin, loses the match for him to make the mountain more unclimbable for Cody for night 2, right? For Bloodline Rules match. But in terms of this, I see Roman and Rock coming out victorious in this one. I really do. I just think the fact that if you have Roman lose 2 nights in a row, even though he doesn't have to be the one to lose, I can't see The Rock getting pinned. I can't really see Roman getting pinned in this one. The only person I could see losing could be Cody. I mean, that would be really a blow if he loses going into night 2, right? But when it comes to the scenario of just making it more difficult, more insurmountable, I don't think Cody survives the final boss here, but it will lead to night 2. So I have Rock and Roman coming out on this one. I think Seth right now has his own problems in night 2 because after this happens and the demolishment of losing this tag team match, he's going to have to face a pretty insurmountable task himself in night 2 when he's defending the world title too. So I see The Rock and Roman come out victorious in this one, and this will all lead to night 2. People are like, oh my God,
Yeah,
it's a free-for-all for night 2 now.
Imagine this is just one night. My God, it would be crazy. But you'll get to take a deep breath and recuperate and head there for the next night on the Sunday for WrestleMania Night